At that time in life, I felt angry, aggressive. Everything was against me. Everybody was against me. I didn't trust anybody. I would go through phases where I didn't know how to speak to anybody, push people away, shut people off, and I couldn't stand life, to be fair. There was times it was like I felt like just getting up and running away. Yeah, I'd run away for everything. I think the only thing that kept me here was my kids. I grew up in a very poor family. My dad was a farmer, worked in the farms. We had absolutely nothing. We lived from week to week. My dad, when I was really young, was an alcoholic, kind of quite angry, aggressive. His work was really stressful, so we used to hide whenever he came home. Life wasn't great. We had nothing. It was stuff that had been handed down from cousins. So life was really, really tough. When I was 15, involved going out at weekends and drinking and going to partying and clubbing and fighting, stuff like that. There was an incident happened and we were all going to a party, and my friend, it says like, let's go, and he was ready to go and we were going to get in the car, and I went in another car, probably 2 miles from my house. We came across a car on fire and we both stood and watched 5 of my friends burnt to death in the car, and that's when my life spiraled out of control because I turned to drink. I was 15, 16 year old, I was drinking all the time, every weekend. It's all that mattered to me was drink, just to hide everything, so life was really dark for a while. Well, life changed pretty rapidly actually, because one day there was a woman, we just seemed to keep bumping into each other. It was weird because my life was just turmoil, and then here was Janice, who was this Christian woman who was actually wanting to be my friend. And Janice had said to me one day the kids were doing something at church, and she invited me to come along, and it was like, there's just no way I can go to church. There's just no way on earth I could go into church. But I came, I felt like a fish out of water. It's just so out of my comfort zone, it was unbelievable. But people were nice, and people were nice to me, and it was weird. God moved in the weirdest possible way. I went through a phase where I wanted to get away from Peterhead, and my pal, and he was pretty much going through the same thing. So the two of us went and booked a holiday and we went to Ibiza. We were there for a week, and on the 6th night, I went to go and watch the sunrise and contemplate life. And I was sitting just thinking about life and my kids and how everything just fell apart. And this man appeared on the beach. He looked like a beggar. And he says, I'm a street preacher. And I was like, whoa, no. I says, I've been to church. I've no interest in church. I don't want to ken. And he's like, I've got a message for you. And the man stood in front of me and just looked at me, and he says, when he asks you to wear his coat, put it on. So this totally freaked me out. So I came back from Ibiza on the Monday, and on a Tuesday I phoned my boss and met up with my boss and handed him the keys, and I walked away for the job. I just knew that era of my life was gone. I decided that. I had nothing, absolutely nothing. And I remember after I'd done it, I went and spoke to Janice, and I told her about what I'd just done, and it was weird because she told me that God would provide. She says, God always provides. The Sunday came, and Janice phoned me and says, oh yeah, because you weren't working last night, would you want to come to church this morning? And it was like, I didn't have an excuse anymore. So we came along to church, and as I sat upstairs in church, Pastor Neil was speaking about the church picnic, and he announced from the platform that I was going to be wearing the sweetie coat at the church picnic. I didn't have a clue what a sweetie coat was, but in my head I heard this guy speaking to the beach, when he asked you to wear his coat, put it on. I thought, wow, something's happening here. Pastor Neil was speaking about Jacob and heroes, and my grandfather's been a massive hero in my life, and I kept thinking back about him as Neil was speaking. I was in tears. I was a tough guy in Peterhead. I was one of these guys who you couldn't cry. You couldn't show that anybody could affect you, and I was bawling my eyes out crying in church. And Neil made an appeal, and I remember Neil saying afterwards that he's never ever seen anybody put their hand up before he actually finished making the appeal. It was like a scene from a movie that I felt this burning came from my feet and went all the way up through my body and out through my hand, and I just felt a massive relief like I've never felt in my life. I've never felt peace. And from that day onwards, it's like I owe God my life because He's given me a fresh life, a new life. But there's a time for everything. There's a time for us to be born. There's a time to die. There's a time to plant, but also a time to harvest. There's a time to tear down and a time to build up. There's a time to cry, there's a time to laugh. There's a time to embrace and a time to turn away. I wish that I'd found this 20 years ago, because my life would be so different now than what it has been. But yet I'm grateful that God left me to now, because if he had changed me 20 years ago, I wouldn't have the testimony I've got now. Because I thought I was lost, and there's nobody can be any more lost than what I was. God's using my story to help people change their life, because if God can change my life, God will change anybody's life.